Hello again, welcome back. I just wanted to run you through part 2 of another session. So we're going to start with our feet, we're going to move up into our knees, we're going to do some glutes, we're going to do psoas, and I'll show you a shoulder release as well. I'm going to start with my jumper on and then I'll take it off. Hopefully I will warm up a little bit, so make sure you're really warm. I'm going to take my jumper off so you can see what I'm doing, but I may not need to do that. So, so first of all, get your hands on a lacrosse ball. A tennis ball will do, but if you want to apply real pressure, the lacrosse balls are the best because they're really nice and dense. You can get them from the osteo or the physio, or you can order them online. Peanuts, not all peanuts are created equal. Even this one, I don't love as much as I love getting 2 tennis balls and taping them together. So definitely a lacrosse ball for the singles. You can get away with making a peanut out of 2 tennis balls. You get electrical tape, you tape around the middle, and then you tape around the middle, and then you tape around again, and then you tape around the middle again, and it makes this really, really good solid peanut ball that you can use in different areas of your body. A really good tip for this, while I think about it, is you can make a few for cheap as chips and then put them in your cars. So then when you're driving, you can put them in your lower back and it will help to release your lower back as you're driving. So that's really good. And then the bigger ball, look, I got this at Sports Power like a couple of years ago. If you can get your hands on one, like they're just a mega sized tennis ball. Rebel might be the spot to get one. They're just a mega sized tennis ball that are a little bit softer and a little bit smaller than, say, a foam roller. And we use these to get into the psoas, or I like to use this one mainly just to get into the stomach. It's not as full on as lying on that. You can lie on that, but it's also going to be a little bit more of a gentle introduction to that. So that's what we're going to use today. And if you don't have all of those, don't panic. Tennis balls will work. And again, we're just building on the toolbox, your toolbox, so that you can utilize these when you need them. So whenever we get the balls, I like to just start with the feet. Now you could do this standing too. So if you're in the gym, I'm going to disappear out of frame, but if you're in the gym, we can pop this underneath the foot, apply gentle pressure, really wherever you are. Try not to have the mindset that the more it hurts, the better it is. Like yes and no. Okay, so when it comes to some of this trigger stuff, you know, it can feel really tender in the muscles, but just be really mindful, especially with the feet, that you just ease into it and try not to bruise your feet, because you'll definitely then be suffering for that for the next couple of days. So we go for about a minute on each side. And I'm sorry, I know I'm not in frame, but it's really nice to stand up and put the weight into the ball and into the foot. And again, easy to just, when you walk into the gym, especially if you're not feeling super motivated, really good, I find, to pick an activity just to start with, whether it's just walking on the treadmill or cycling on the bike, some sort of easy entry point. And then you'll be like, right, I'm done warming up, what's next? It's always good for the mind. All right, so again, 1 minute on each foot. The second time you go over is always going to feel so much better than the first. So if you can, unless you're super short on time, go back through and have another little go. And again, it's not going to be the magic bullet, but it's certainly going to bring some awareness into how tender your feet can get, especially if you wear high heels. It's going to be really nice to open up through those feet. And again, you could use a golf ball as well. A golf ball is a little bit smaller, it's a little bit harder, so you might use that to get into certain areas of the foot that you feel like you just need a little bit more of a what's the word, it'll come to me, but a golf ball is pretty full on, so be very careful. Tennis ball's always a good entry point, and then you can get firmer and firmer as you go. All right, so we start with the feet, then we might start with the glutes. So again, just like we did in the first session, use your hands, use your legs to help you figure out how much weight you want to put through and into that ball. And again, I'm just going to roll out at the moment. Woo. And that is tender. So again, find a tender spot and just find your way there, and then just gently hang out there for a little bit. Remember, we want to stay on the meaty parts. Okay, so stay on the muscle. Do not jam that into your skeleton or into your bones. Use your feet to give you a bit of lift. Use your hands to give you a bit of a lift. And like I said, it is an ab workout at the same time. So you are warming up and you are using other muscles while you're doing this. So again, about 1 to 2 minutes, one glute, 1 to 2 minutes on the other glute. I'd say we were probably there for about 40 seconds or so. Wherever you can, press through the palms of your hands. If that gives your wrists any grief, then maybe consider coming up and making some fists and then pressing into the floor. But please look after your wrists. Please look after your hands. And as I said at the start of the other class, just be really mindful that you're not, that you're aware of risky pain versus discomfort from a stretch or a tight muscle. So we never want to put ourselves or our bodies in a position where we think, oop, I'm going to go too far or I've gone too far. These things happen, but recognize this in your body and don't go right to your edge straight away. It's better to just be a little bit more cautious going into something. Yeah, that's tender. So with the ball, you can go right up to the top of your rump. So right up, I call rump your buttock. You can come right up here, which feels really good, and then right out to the edge. But again, just be mindful of how much pressure you put through that muscle. And if you have time, go back and do the other side, and then come back and do the other side. And that feels better already. Now, the next one I'm going to get you to do, while we're here, sitting up nice and tall, remember, walk your sit bones back to tilt your pelvis forward. So we want to go from just plonking ourselves onto our bottom to walking our sit bones back and sitting up really nice and tall. That will help us sit taller with a little bit more or a little less effort. If you need to, sit on a blanket, sit on a bolster, sit on a yoga block, which I'll go through again in a later video. The other thing that you could do while you're here with this ball is pop it into your pec and into your pec and shoulder insertion and give it a little roll up in here to release through your chest. And you wouldn't think that you would get really tight in there, but we do so much through the front of our body. We do so much in this position. We're picking up kids, we're bending over, doing up car seats, we're heaving prams out of cars. You know, we're picking up weights and then training. So it can be really good to grab the ball and just do a gentle self-massage in here. You could also pop this in here and lean against a wall. I'll do that in another video. I don't know if I'll have time to do it in this one, we shall see. So just massage, see what's sore. Now I did shoulders yesterday, so the front of my delt there is a bit sore. And I'm gonna, again, stay off the bones. So I'm not gonna just come straight in here and massage across there if there isn't a lot between me and my skeleton, but there is a nice meaty spot in here that gets very tender, and I like to push in there. So again, about 1 minute to 2 minutes, always where you can, do once and then go back over it again, because that second time, that muscle's gonna feel a little bit more supple. Again, be gentle with your body. Listen to the feedback. We're not all natural body connectors. We don't all kind of have that ability to notice how far is too far when we're doing this kind of thing. So again, when I say don't go right to your edge, just come at it from a place of inquiry. What's going on in this shoulder today? Is my right shoulder different to my left today? And usually it will be. We just think train the right side different to the left. You can get into the front of that delt. You could take this all the way down your arm if you wanted to. So you could pop it in your forearm, massage those muscles. That's always a really nice one to do, especially if you get tight through here. You can pop it on there, and it just gives you something to gently press in. Again, be very gentle because it can refer into different places. And this is not for anything specific. It's more that, again, if you just feel like you need a little bit of extra support after a workout, you can do this stuff at home rather than going and having to book to see a physio or a massage therapist. There's quite a lot you can do at home. Just have to be motivated or have the energy or reduce the friction to get to that spot. Okay, so that you can use for lots of different things. Now I'm going to go into the peanut. So if you don't have a peanut like this, again, 2 tennis balls, tape, tape, tape. If you want to get really into it, tape, middle, make it, have a practice run. I should make a video actually on how to do that. So for this one, we're going to take the peanut and pop it underneath the knee, just above, or underneath the quad, just above your knee. Okay, and then I'm going to have a little play around with this because I want it to be in a spot that should be right. Now I am tight from the gym the other day. When you come into this position, just be mindful of your lower back. So you may need to start a little bit lower because you don't have that range that I have to be able to lift your chest up into full Sphinx or full Cobra. Now flex the foot, so see how my toes are drawing back towards my shins. And then I'm going to draw my heel in towards my buttock. I'm going to have a little look back and just make sure that knee is tracking in a nice straight line from my hip. And again, you could be watching telly, probably not like this. Probably angle yourself just so that if you needed to, you could just watch telly while you were sitting here flossing this knee. I call this flossing. So think of the quad flossing over. So I'm gently pressing my knee down into the ball. And that feels okay, that's not too bad. But I know that if I roll back a little and take that ball a little bit higher, I'm gonna get quite a stabby sensation through the ball and into the muscle. And that's okay, like I know that that's fine. What that means to me is that that area needs more of this. It needs more mobility because everything's very tight. Perhaps those muscles, perhaps your kneecap, and your knee have been a bit tender. So this is a really good one just to help release the kneecap. So if you notice any pulling underneath your kneecap, this is a really good one for that. And you might go through and do about 15 on each side, and then we'll move in, or 15 in each position, and then you'll roll down a little bit and go again. And just slow it right down. So even though things might be really, really tender, go as slow as you can. Open the knee all the way up, and then draw the heel in towards your buttock. Now when you go over that the second time, that's going to feel a lot nicer. And again, you can just start all on the one knee. Bring it back down to just above the kneecap. And you might go for about 10 on the second round, and then move down again. And sometimes, like what it's doing now, is it's even more intense the second time. So we've opened up the muscle has released, it's a little bit more supple, and we're able to get in a little bit deeper. But I promise you, your knees won't feel the same afterwards. They'll feel like a new person's knees. Okay, so again, you might go through, do 10 to 15, and then you'll switch. So we'll do the other side. Play around with your setup. I've gone into it very quickly because I've done this a lot. I've had a lot of practice. Okay, so I know I make things look easy or simple. It's because I do it so much, and I've had to do it so much. And you will get there as well. And your setup will be fine. Look back at that knee, make sure it's tracking in a straight line from your hip. Again, if it's too much on the lower back to be higher, just pop your head down. Flex the foot to pull the toes back towards the shin. Pull the heel in towards the buttocks. Now, depending on what leg work you've done, you may find that it's just your quad that's super tight initially. But as you can see, once you've done those first few reps, everything starts to loosen up. That heel can come a little bit closer to the butt, and I'm pushing my knee gently down into the ball or into the peanut. And then I'm going to wriggle back, heel in, heel out. Keep the pinky toe pointed at the floor. I didn't say that earlier. Watch that your foot doesn't try and do some strange thing because of the tenderness that's up in the quad. So this side feels a little bit more tender than my right side. There's a little bit of clicking going on in my knee. And so I'm just going to smooth the movement down and slow it down. Okay, so again, I'll move down a little bit to the next spot. And I don't tend to go much higher than that. You can, but once the thigh starts to get a little bit wider and there might be a little bit more meat there, it can be a little bit more challenging to feel the same, I cannot think of the word today, the same, like the specific area releasing through the front of the quad. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it'll come to me at some point. Again, look after your back. Notice if your lower back is feeling like it's a lot to be even in this gentle back bend position. Draw the belly button back towards the spine and push your hips down into the floor. So you want to pull the belly button back to engage the core. Squeeze your butt a little bit and push your pubic bone down towards the mat. And then that will take the compression out of your lower back. And then you should be able to relax everything. And your lower back should have released as well. And you can do that as many times as you need to help your lower back release. The spine likes to be gently compressed, but in a very safe and effective manner. Now, once you're done there, we'll come up and you could again go to the other side and keep going. Okay, so you could go through again and do a second set on each one. They feel like amazing already. Now, this one is for your psoas. So you've got one side, most mums have got one side that's going to be shorter than the other. Most people are going to have one side that's slightly shorter than the other. One hip will be slightly higher. We have a stronger side, that side will be stronger, shorter, and then the pelvis will twist and all the rest of it. So that's normal. You go to a physio and they say, or anyone, and they'll say that your pelvis is twisted. Okay, cool. So how do we release the short and tight side and then strengthen the other side? So with this bigger ball, and again, you could use a smaller ball. It's just probably not going to feel the same. So we'll lie down. We want to put this just to the side, so in line with the belly button, and just to the side. Okay, so not on the hip bone and not right in the middle of the stomach. So we should be able to just roll to the side and bring ourselves down. Now, if you've had something to eat, this may not feel very comfortable, and we just want to bring ourselves down to a nice flat position. Relax the belly, turn the big toes in, let the heels roll out, and then let that ball sink into the abdomen. Now, it's not perfect, this one, okay, which is why sometimes it's better to lie on the foam roller, because it's that bit bigger. And obviously it's not the same as going to a myo or someone and having them kind of really dig into your psoas, which can be extremely uncomfortable and extremely painful, but it is something that you can use at home. So if you felt that this wasn't really doing anything, you could grab your foam roller. Again, we want to pop it just to the side of the belly button. So if I'm doing my right side, I want to pop it just to the right side of my belly button. And then I'm going to hang out here. Now you might want to bring one leg up. So we just bend one leg if it was really, really tight and you felt like you needed a little bit of extra support. Otherwise, keep the leg long, use the elbows into the floor, and then sink down onto that foam roller. And you might find once you do your first side and you go to the second side that you're like, oh, actually, now I can feel it because this side's way tighter than that side. When you do this again, start with the tighter side. Okay, so do that side first. So we'll do about 2 minutes. 2 minutes for the psoas. Again, we're going to pop it to the left of the belly button and then we're going to sink down. It needs to be in between the hips and the ribs. There should be no bony points of your skeleton, of your ribs or your hip, on that foam roller. Adjust as many times as you need to as well. Don't come onto it and think, yep, right, that's it, or get frustrated. Just fiddle around until you can get frustrated if you want, but just fiddle around until you find the spot. All right, so we'll stay there for about 2 minutes. I'm not going to stay there this time. I can definitely feel that that left side is nowhere near as tight as my right. So I'd go back and do my right side again. So 2 times over on that right side. Okay, so now the last one that I wanted to show you is to put this in between your shoulder blades. This one is probably the most brutal one, and I've saved it for last. Maybe grab a pillow and pop it behind your head, or you can lie flat on the floor. So the bolster is probably going to be a bit too big. I'm going to pop a pillow on the floor, make sure I'm nice and comfy there. I'm going to roll to one side, put this ball in between my back and my shoulder blade. Now this takes a little bit of adjusting, and if you have a ponytail in, maybe just pop your ponytail out. And then bring yourself over. So I use my opposite leg to just bring my weight over this ball. Now you might get to here, and that could be enough. And when I say this really takes your breath away, it is one of, well, I say it's the most intense, it really takes your breath away, especially if you haven't done it for a while. So again, we want to make sure that it is in the right spot and it's not on your bones. So take your time. And the thing is, if I take my left hand with the ball, place it at the back here, what that does is that actually pops my shoulder blade out. So then I can pop the ball in between my spine and just underneath my shoulder blade, which is amazing. Okay. And then it's not on my bony parts. Okay. It's still going to be like a little bit bony, but you're going to get that beautiful muscle instead of bone. Now, once you've settled into that, bring the left hand down by your side, thumb pointing to the sky. Keep the neck nice and long, and we're going to bring the bicep by the ear and then bring the arm back down. Now this is referring into the front of my shoulder. And I do think I could probably take the ball a tiny bit higher. And I'm only saying that because I've done it so much. I feel like it could be the teensiest bit higher to begin with. And then I'm going to move it further and further down. Now, if you don't have the range to stick it under your shoulder with your arm, then roll onto your side and use the other hand to pop it there, and then just wriggle around until you get it in almost the right spot, like, you know, in the right spot. Again, not on bones is the most important thing. And then I'm going to bring, so I'm holding a lot of tension in my neck because it's so intense. So just tuck the chin, keep the neck long. Again, bring the ground closer to you by propping your neck with a pillow. Make sure, because it's winter, that you are also lying on a yoga mat, and maybe grab a blanket or a towel or a couple of towels, and make sure that you're not lying on the cold floor, because if you have even the inklings of a cold or a flu, just that chill from the floor can really exacerbate all of that, and you don't want to make yourself sicker. So this is referring into the front of my shoulder. So I would go for about 10 to 15 of these, just like we did with the knee flossing, and then I would move the ball slightly down. Now I think if I did that again, I would start slightly higher, and then I would go again. So about 10 to 15. If you've got a luxuriously long session, then go for 15. Otherwise, just whack out about 10. Again, lead with the thumb. Keep the pinky finger down. Breathe. And then you'll do the second side, okay? Now, you don't have to spin around. I'm only spinning around because then you can see me on the camera. So again, we can use the hand to pop out the shoulder blade to place that ball in, And then hopefully that puts us in about the right spot. Ooh. Roll yourself so that the weight of your body, your torso, goes down into the ball. And that might be enough. You might just want to hang here and just focus on breathing and relaxing as much as you can. And then when you're ready, thumb to the floor, pinky finger to the floor, hand by the hip, so I can touch my hip, and then bicep by the ear. Now what will happen is as you get a few reps into that, you'll find again that the muscle will start to open, and it may actually start to feel a little bit more intense before it starts to feel a little bit more supple and juicy and almost enjoyable. But I promise you will get better, and your muscles will get better at this process. Mentally, it's probably the most challenging part, is just to deal with the discomfort. And you can hear it in my breathing. This is very intense, and I'm actually glad that I haven't done this so that you can see that it is really full on if you haven't been practicing. Really good for your shoulders though, like you won't know yourself. So just try and work your breathing. So I like to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And I imagine that breath out going into my shoulder blade and just relaxing my body. All right, and that'll keep you from holding your breath, but it'll also encourage you through probably the most challenging parts of that move, that long breath out, just to steady your system, steady your body, steady your mind. Alrighty, so I'm going to end that one there. If you have any questions, let me know. Knees, shoulders, feet, psoas, okay? Should feel super juicy. Remember, when you're coming up, roll yourself fully over, press yourself fully up. Don't come up too quick, especially if you feel a little bit head spinny from being flat on the floor. Round up and down. Round out through your cat. Breathe in. Maybe even come through center and do some little side to sides. And maybe even some little barrel rolls within your range. Okay, so really gentle, and then change direction. Ooh, nearly forgot which direction. Alrighty, so any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you need to know where to get some of these. I got these ones I've just collected over the years. In osteopathy has some, otherwise you can get them online through physio stores. Again, you can make these peanuts out of tennis balls, super easy. I can send you a video. These ones, you just have to hunt around for them. Quite often you'll find something like in your kid's toy box. Otherwise, if this is not enough, foam roller in between the hips, just to the side of the belly button of the side that you're doing. Start with the tighter side. And so you'll start with your right side first and then switch to your left. Alrighty, that's it.